very amazing. Kharkiv freed. Putin's army had to withdraw at great loss.
The counter-offensive operation in the Kharkiv region was completed, and let me tell you how. When it comes to the northern line, as you remember yesterday, Ukrainian forces stopped on the launch Karlovsky, Shevchenko, Pinsk. Some sources reported tough fights on the approaches to Kupinsky and that Ukrainian forces were stopped here. But it seems to me that the situation here was exactly the same as each Kaliska. A small Ukrainian group made a little push, destroyed the bridge, and in fear of being taken into a pocket. And knowing that they do not have enough forces to give a fight, the Russians retreated. Maybe you could see a lot of photos of Ukrainian forces in copying desk. The next stop was detained Origina, but there have been no updates from here yet. Simultaneously, the Ukrainians continued expanding to the north and deployed special forces from Story Celtic and asserted their presence in Hoima, Zarizhzhia, and Hungarica. The presence of Ukrainian forces in the north put the Russians in a very bad position, and they started retreating as well. As you can see, the Ukrainians exploited this organization that the Russian forces experienced from a large-scale and urgent retreat and amplified it by creating a new salient that the Russians tried to escape as fast as possible, leaving behind almost everything that they had. The number of left ammunition depots, tanks, and artillery systems is mind-boggling. Shortly after that, both Chinese and Dilja capitulated, and there was a video of changing the flags above. This sounds the fate of Billy, Ecologist, Precolombina, and Billy. Or look is yet unknown. But given that Russian sources already report that the Ukrainians are in front of these towns, and given that these towns were mostly supplied through Akinsk, I think that these towns will be left as well. I think that by tomorrow the Ukrainians will be close to the administrative border of the Kharkiv region when it comes to the southern line. Yesterday, Ukrainian forces took Zinkova and stopped on the line Zabinsky-Vishneva episode. The Ukrainians managed to crush resistance in the center, which created another salient. So the Russians' intimacy gave up and capitulated within hours. The Ukrainians were already on the approach to Izum. Simultaneously, the Ukrainians launched a massive attack on the month. The date was confirmed that more than 2,000 soldiers successful across the river and started storming this town. There is also a lot of unconfirmed information which I still want to share. Some sources indicate that the Ukrainians already established control over Yampir. Other sources say that the Ukrainians launched an attack from Seversk to Lysychansk and are already close to this town. Some sources also reported that the Ukrainians deployed their special forces to take Kremen again. The information about Yampir, Lysychansk, and Karmina is not yet confirmed, but it fits perfectly well in the picture and indicates that the Ukrainians indeed decided to completely cut off the Azov group from the mainland. Shortly after that, it was reported that the Asian group started fleeing and moved out under constant artillery fire. Today, Russian Ministry of Defense indirectly admitted it's complete. The feed and said that they are doing a planned regrouping to reinforce and help the DPR forces in Donetsk. Shortly after that, a lot of photos emerged of Ukrainian forces in Izum. Today, the goal of the counter-offensive operation was achieved. We completely destroyed this Izum bridgehead and attained the biggest victories so far. From here, the Ukrainians will try to develop their offensive in the direction of the east simultaneously on both sides of the river and take the richness Karmina. And most importantly, Lysychansk. We all have seen huge Russian convoys. So where did they go? The Russians mobilized so many forces that they needed to stop the famous Moscow automobile reading growth to get them through. A lot of convoys were spotted in Belgrade. They also relocated a lot of aircraft from Crimea. So is this a trap? Definitely no. They lost too many men, machines, and ammunition. But can the Russians exploit such a high concentration of Ukrainian forces? And strike somewhere else? Yes. And even though I doubt that they can develop similar success, I think that they will definitely try to do something to show their people that this was not a failure but a strategic move. So despite the huge victory, I would be very cautious and vigilant as to what is going on other fronts.